ranchers aren't always looking for ways to maximize profits and save time. Tonight, we're taking a closer look at how ClicR Technologies' bovine solution can help you create greater efficiencies on your ranches. Well, good evening and welcome to Rural America Live. I'm Marlon Bowling. ClicR Technologies is revolutionizing industry standards by developing the most advanced vision software with expertise in 3D imaging. And tonight, they have a special offer for you as well. But you'll have to stick around just a little bit to learn more about that. And here with me now is the founder and the CEO, Joey Spicola Sr., and Marketing Director and Brand Development Manager, Angelo Piazza. Well, thank you for being here tonight. Man, this is a treat. This is an exceptional product that has just fascinated me all day. Couldn't wait to talk with you guys about this. So I'm going to start with you, Joey, if you don't mind, just to get our audience familiar with who you are and a little background here. Give us an idea of what led you to this point here. Did you have a farm background or what?
No, I did not. No, I did not. But I was born and raised. I'm a native of Tampa, Florida.
Okay.
I have 3 children, a wife, and 2 grandchildren. And for a lot of different reasons, I was asked to move, look at some cattle in West Texas.
Okay.
And I did. And it was with the Bellamy brothers.
Nice.
And so...
The Bellamy brothers.
The Bellamy brothers.
Wow.
David and Howard. So
interesting.
Great people. And while I was there, I was looking around and saw a lot of what I really enjoyed. And my son had just graduated from ABAC. Mm-hmm. So we started a cattle ranch. And weighing cattle all day long, different days, trying to come up with an average weight so that we could ship at 800 pounds. It was just difficult because you want to maximize your profits.
Sure.
And so either you were shipping too heavy or shipping too light. So one day I came up with the idea, let's take a picture and get a weight. And that's where it all started. In
Really?
2005.
Just like that?
Just like that.
And your son helped you with that?
Quite a bit, little Joey, yes.
Man, that's interesting. So I want to talk with you more about that, how that all kind of got initialized, if you don't mind, in just a little bit. In the meantime,
sure.
I do want to welcome aboard Angelo. Angelo, thanks for being
Sure,
a part of the
great
show
to be here.
So I'm thrilled to have you guys here. If you would maybe get our audience acquainted with you. Are you also from Florida?
I am born and raised. I was raised in Tampa. I'm a father of 2, grandfather of 3, nice. Still married to this date. I've been in the design, marketing, and creative industry for 35 years.
35? Yeah. You started when you were like 6, right?
Yes, actually.
Yeah. That's awesome. So when did you get together with Joey?
So sometime in 2013, he brought me on to manage a brand, start initiating some strategy to get it out to the market. And we've been together off and on since.
Well, Joey, if you would, tell me how you came about inventing this product. You talked about the need for it as you worked the ranch in western Texas, and I understand that. And that is a problem, trying to get a consistent weight. You just have to average a whole lot, right?
That's correct.
And it's hard to get specific data on each and every animal. But how did you come to invent this anyway?
It was difficult because I knew that we had to come up with some type of algorithm that could measure the animal. And in doing so, I went out and found me a scientist, Dr. Garcia. And we worked together for many years trying to figure out the proper way to measure an animal. And we have a camera that's over the animal, and we have an RFID reader, which is next to the animal when he comes in and gets a drink of water. So we read the ear tag. And from that, we produce a weight. So it was out of necessity, and it was just very laborious, And if you didn't have a lot of help, then, it was difficult moving cattle to a scale. Now we can do it very easily. We weigh them all day long. All that information is produced, goes to the user interface, and we get a daily weight and average daily gain. If you have 50 head or 500 head, we can do that for you very easily.
And it's all pretty much, once you get it set up, it's all pretty much automated, and
Totally.
It builds a huge database on your entire herd, each individual animal, and it gives data on how they're performing, if there are some slackers out there, I'll say, that you might you might want to keep a close eye on, or maybe call them out and replace them with better performing ones. So it's very fascinating to see how this is all working. So the ranch obviously gave you the background for this, but what role did Dr. Garcia play in this then?
Well, he's my chief technology officer.
And he came up with what?
Well, we worked together in developing an algorithm on how to measure an animal with a camera, a 3D camera. And it was pretty frustrating, but we fought through it.
How in the world did you ever come up with the idea to not use a scale, but take a picture of an animal?
It was just a thought. It was just a thought. And it came to me in a dream one night, quite frankly.
Really?
And I just followed it. I just found somebody that would listen to me and work with me and try to understand what was in my head and what I was thinking about. And it was him.
I love your brand, by the way. And I assume Angelo had something to do with that.
Angelo had a lot to do with it.
We call it ClicR Technologies, but if you look closely at their shirt, and you can see in their logo, it has a big red R prominently featured on there. What's the reason for that, Angelo?
So when I was presented with the name of ClicR Technologies, so we figured that, a lot of people always asked us, so how do you pronounce that? Is it ClicR? Is it ClicR? So we came to a decision where we said, you can pronounce it however you like, as long as you pronounce it.
You don't care.
The strategy behind the R was to pull an element out of there where we can, at some point, become iconic enough where people can recognize us, and that R was the part of that logo. And as you'll see us moving forward in different designs and different ads and different marketing, you'll see the R stand alone, and you're going to recognize that that's the ClicR brand.
Joey, you had made the mention when we met before the show started that name kind of originated with the original equipment you had, right?
Correct.
Why is that?
Just
the first camera you had?
Yes, it just made a click sound, and we came up with the name ClicR. And the original thought was just we started off with a handheld, take this and go click a few animals and see what they weigh. And but then it just developed to where we were going to bring the animal to us.
Interesting.
So, into the water trough or the feed blunt.
All right, so that leads us to Angelo, and I want to have you maybe explain how this system works, if you can. I know it's very, very complicated, but you have simplified it, and you actually brought a couple of things along with you, I think, so that maybe our audience can kind of grasp more of what we're talking about. If you want to grab them, go ahead. So this actually has a couple of components to it. Of course, generally, they kind of custom build these arrangements out in the field. It involves a camera, and it involves what you call, is it what do you refer to it as, a receiver, a reader? What do you call this other item?
It's a RFID reader.
Reader, okay. So there's some pictures of it out in the field of a typical enclosure where you would have the animals in. And we'll talk about why that is set up that particular way in just a little bit. But if we can come out to Angelo here, and you have a couple of things here.
I do.
First of all, if you would, show us that camera that you came up with. And you mentioned this is like your third iteration of it, or
This
what?
is version 3.
Version 3.
What we call V3.
Okay,
yes.
Angelo, go ahead. Show
right.
us what you got for the camera.
I simplified this for everybody.
Okay.
So that way I had to grasp it myself. So now I got it down.
All right.
All right. So the ClicR bovine solution is is mostly 3 parts, right?
Okay.
So first of all, we have a custom RFID reader that we created.
Why don't you set it right on your paper and just hold it right there, and they'll zoom in on it. There you go.
So this is our custom reader, and not only does it read the animal's tag when it comes in, but it activates the camera. And when it activates the camera, the camera starts creating the scans, and then the scans are developed into the algorithm, and then the algorithm produces a weight.
Now, just to explain how this works, this reader is mounted just above, like, the cattle's right ear or left ear, wherever the tag is, right?
Wherever the tag is. So where the animal comes in, whether it's a feed bunk or a water trough, it's usually sitting on the side of his head where the reader is. And when they come in and drink, it'll set that off. And it'll capture that unique animal's number.
Right. But if you turn it around, I mean, it looks for all the world like a fancy plaque that you would hang on the wall. I mean,
So-
it looks very glamorous, but it's actually a lot of electronics in there.
We've developed it this way, so the reader's inside there, and what's unique about our reader is it does just that. Not only does it read the tag, but it also sets off the camera and let it know that the animal's there, and it starts taking scans.
So how does it get its power?
So we're either plugged in electronically with electric, or we go solar, and we're in remote locations.
Really?
Yep, absolutely.
That's clever.
Everything's done by Wi-Fi.
Is that right?
Yes.
So it communicates somewhere with a computer and up into the cloud.
So once the camera, and I want to show you that underneath. So once the 3D camera takes that information and it turns it into the algorithm and it develops the weight, all that data then is moved to the cloud. Then that cloud is shared to our interface, which we call GUI. It's GUI.
Right, graphic user interface.
That's
Correct.
right.
I know that much.
So that's where the customer has access to his own personal GUI. He goes in from any device, any time of day, 24/7. He could check his animals' weights. He could check the tonnage on all the animals, ADG, any time of the day, anywhere.
And it saves it forever, right?
Absolutely. It's all stored on the
Goes
cloud.
into the cloud. Doesn't matter what you pull it off of. It could
right.
be a computer, tablet, phone, anything.
That's right.
Now that's interesting. Now you're showing the actual camera facing our camera right now on display there. But if you turn it around, it's got a little bit of a like a knob on it. I assume that's probably for help in mounting it, maybe for a swivel mount.
This is comes off of a connection where it's over the animal. So whether we come off the ceiling, usually we could come off the railing, come up and down, and this connects to it.
What's the ideal location to mount that then in relationship to the animal in that stall?
So we want to be over the animal. We have a specific height, and that's typically a little bit over the back where it can get the entire animal from the front of them all the way to the rear.
All right. Jolie, if you would, explain how this works in the field. Now, at first thought, when I first found out about this, I thought, well, that's ideal for feedlots, which I assume it probably is.
It is.
But it works out in the field as well, and you alluded, Angelo, to the fact that you can use solar power on it. I hadn't thought about that, to use it in a remote location. Now, the actual tag reader there is, like you said, hermetically sealed.
Hermetically sealed,
The
yes.
camera probably needs to be protected a little bit, doesn't it?
The camera does need to be protective. It can shield water, but you can't drop it in water.
It's not submersible.
No, it's
in other
not
words.
submersible.
So you can't drop it in a pond.
The reader is.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
That thing can take a beating.
Yeah.
It was designed to do that too, because with the animals, they do kind of
So
feed on
close
it.
to the water, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm fascinated when you're out in a remote area like that, and you said it works by Wi-Fi. Usually you think of Wi-Fi as working for about 50 feet.
Well, we can send a Wi-Fi signal about 10 miles.
Really?
Yes.
Now, how do you go about doing that?
Carefully. You have to take a line of sight, shoot an azimuth to the subject, and then point your antenna that way. And
And you have specialized antennas, I suppose.
yes, we do. Yes, we
Now,
do.
if I understood correctly, Angelo, you guys were talking before the show here that you can actually, like, what I call hopping or skipping,
That's right.
like repeating that signal out and go greater distance, right?
Yes, we can.
Now, that's interesting. So if you have a pasture that's 10 or 20 miles away from the home place, you could still pick it up. Huh?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll take that antenna, we'll get it to where it maximizes its distance, we'll bounce it off another one, and then so on and so on.
How long have you been testing this now out in rural areas like that?
Years.
Well,
Quite
probably,
a few years.
Yeah, what, like 15 years? Almost
Yeah.
10 years?
Yes.
Did you try it out in Texas when you were out there, or are you working on that in Florida?
No, we worked on it in Florida. We worked on it at different farms at ABAC. And
Explain what that is.
ABAC?
For our viewers that don't know what
Abraham
that is.
Baldwin Agriculture College. We've
Okay.
been working with them very closely, and they carry our product, use our product, and we have systems there now. We have 3 systems there now, and moving more in, putting more in.
Is that local to you?
No, it's It's in Tifton, Georgia.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. So you got a little college experience testing them out. And,
Right.
and
Well, my son
troubleshooting
went there,
them.
and so I was familiar with them and knew a lot of people. So we just went back, and they embraced us.
Well, Angelo, if you would, so from what you know about this new system so far, how do you think that's going to change the future of ranching now?
So, a lot. I think that, ranchers have been doing the way they've been doing business for the past 200 years. And we're going to change so many things because we're making greater efficiencies. We're saving time. We're saving money. We're building a profit margin. And there's so many levels of where we can streamline the process, and it saves a lot of money. We're going to reduce costs every time. We go out there, we've got a lot of pushback. It's been tough. You can't deny it. Going out there, seeing ranchers, and they want to know, what this technology is, and they don't want to spend money on it. But now we've been working with industry leaders. We're finding that we're getting a lot of acceptance, and people are more willing to see us, and it's moving pretty good right now.
Yeah, I was going to say this would be so radically different from anything anybody had ever seen before. Does that just kind of have a little bit of a wall that you have to overcome to get people to accept it initially?
Always. I think if they take the time and let us come and see them, explain how the process works, we usually want to go in and do a survey. It's not for everybody. We want to be as cost effective as possible. So we'll come out, we'll do a survey, we'll see what it takes, what kind of infrastructure's got to be put together, and but we're making some ground. We're making big steps now.
Are ranchers embracing this now?
Yeah, we're finding that we've dealt with a lot of the industry leaders that have been very acceptable to our product. The college has been instrumental in getting the word out for us, and I think when people see that, and we're putting out a lot of papers on research and our results, and when you're 98% accurate,
wow,
that's a lot to talk about.
98%. And
It's
it doesn't
very
even have a
disruptive
scale. That's
technology.
crazy. Yeah,
Very disruptive technology, and people have a hard time understanding. So you have to change the film? No, you don't.
Right.
So it's acceptance, adaptation, accepting. It's getting people to brace in technology so you're not left behind.
Well, we want to make sure that, ClicR Technologies has a special offer for our RFD TV viewers tonight. And when you buy 5 systems, the 6th one is actually free. And that includes the equipment and the installation and the subscription and the warranty with a 36-month contract. All you have to do is call or go to ClicRweight.com and use the code CATTLE. Write that down. The code is CATTLE. This won't last too long. It's only good until the 18th of this month. 6 systems can weigh and manage about 200 head over food and water. We have to pause for a quick break, but before we do, we're going to open our phone lines up, and that number is toll free. It's 877-731-6733. Call in with your questions. We got a lot of ground to cover, and we welcome your call. 877-731-6733. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back to Rural America Live with ClicR Technologies. And you're an important part of this show. We want to hear from you on our phone lines. They're now open, and we have a toll-free phone number right now. You can call in and join the conversation about ClicR Technologies. Just give us a call toll-free at 877-731-6733. And if you missed it just a few minutes ago, ClicR Technologies has a special offer for RFD TV viewers tonight. When you buy 5 systems, the 6th one will be free, and that includes all the equipment, the installation, the subscription, and the warranty, and that's with a 36-month contract. All you have to do is call or go to ClicRweight.com and use the code CATTLE. But this won't last very long. Make sure you call in and take action before the 18th of this month. Six systems can weigh and manage about 200 head, or 210 head technically, over food and water. And we go back to Joey. Explain to us how ranchers can benefit from this ClicR system.
Absolutely. So first off, you get a daily weight on every animal in your inventory. Mm-hmm. So you have 250 animals on a circle. Animals come up to get a drink of water. You get a weight. And as time goes on, you get an average daily gain. When the animal is ready to be harvested, you can go to the user interface and click a specific weight that you want the animal to be harvested at, and we spray that animal for you. So when you go back the next day, you see all the animals in the field that have been sprayed. Once they reach the target weight, they're ready to go.
So it's like in a hog pen where you mark them with chalk or something like that.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But we do it for you. We do it for you.
So
the system
awesome.
automatically does it.
When they reach that weight.
When they reach that target weight. We can also, in the user interface, you can set up weight groups. So you can set up from 6 to 750 pounds. So you have animals that you know are within a certain weight group, and which is very important because you know which ones are not producing or gaining weight.
Sure.
And you also know who's going backwards. So the user interface, the system tells you they're gaining weight or they're losing weight. So it's very important. It's very unique. It's very different. It just increases your profits, saves you time, and makes you a lot more money.
Angela, we'll talk about that graphic user interface, that GUI as you call it. How does that interact with the producer that's using it out there? Explain that.
So they're going to use it to their advantage, right? They're going to look at that every day, and they're going to say, all right, let me see where they're gaining here. The best part about it to me is each animal has its individual growth chart. So they can identify that animal, whether it's growing fast enough, it's not going to grow, it stops growing, and where he is in the time and place of where he's been. So when they get in there and they utilize that system, they can check and they can verify that if I feel like shipping some animals at a certain weight, you can predict that animal or those animals, how long it's going to take for them, and start scheduling your vehicles. So if I know that they're going to be growing at a certain rate at that average daily gain, I can predict that those animals are going to be ready to ship at that certain date. And then I want to spray mark those animals. You go in there and you can set the system to spray at a certain date or at a certain weight. And I want to take those animals out. So once they're sprayed, you go down to the pen or the pasture and you say, all right, those are the animals that we're going to load up. They're already marked.
And it's much easier to identify than having to go and look at every ear tag, right, with a little number on it.
Absolutely. Well, and this is a part where, you start reducing cost. You're reducing labor, you're reducing feed. We call it early exit, right? We want to get those animals out as soon as possible.
Exactly.
Instead of holding them back 3 or 4 extra days, that you've overfed them.
Right. You don't want to.
So the efficiencies are incredible. And the best part is you can do a lot of that from the office, from your truck, from your coffee table, and manage that herd.
Nice. Does that make a difference on mortality or not?
We think it does. We show that some of our results find that if you can see that your animal's not coming to the water, which you'll be able to see.
Oh, yeah.
You can even set a notice and let you know that, all right, this animal hasn't come to drink. You can treat that animal sooner than waiting to find out if you go and see it. So I got an animal, I got a problem here, let me go identify it. And of course, you know what the cost is when you got to bring somebody out, remove a carcass. So we find that we can reduce the mortality rate by at least 3% in big herds.
Well, yeah, if an animal gets sick, they may be hiding in a corner somewhere or out of sight, and you won't notice it for a day or two, and by then it's too late.
The sooner you can treat it, the better off you're going to be.
Wow. Interesting stuff. You want to take a phone call?
Absolutely.
We have one on the line.
Okay.
We actually have Craig calling in from Wisconsin. Craig, thanks a lot for calling in, and we encourage everybody to call in, toll-free number 877-731-6733. You can be a part of the show as well. All right, Craig, what's your question?
Well, thank you for taking my call, first off. I just wanted to ask a question about it. If there's anybody else in the livestock industry that's providing anything even similar to this, and if the system can tie into some of the other monitoring type systems.
Interesting.
Oh, that is interesting. Can
Yeah. What do you think?
I? Okay. Go ahead. So it's Craig, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Craig, I think your first question was about if anybody else was doing this in the industry,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Okay. So as far as we know, that is a no.
Mm-hmm.
And why we say that is because remember, we're weighing animals without a scale. There may be some similar products out there, but we do know that nobody's doing it at a 98% accuracy. So that's
been documented, right?
absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's actually even getting better, if I understood correctly.
Yeah, the more we're out there, the more we practice, of course, it's going to get better. You know, we're going to have version 3, version 4, version 5. As technology comes around, especially with the 3D cameras, we'll be getting better at it.
Craig, if you're still there, I believe your second question was about interfacing with other monitoring systems.
Yeah, that's correct. I'm just wondering if the reader or anything like that will work with other systems at all.
Yes.
Such as? Do you have any
Yes,
examples?
we can. Once we understand what you're using right now, we can. One of our engineers will be able to help you and stream them together. So it'll appear on one screen. I believe that's what you want, is it not?
All right. Well, Craig, thank you for calling in. That was a very fascinating question. I hadn't thought of it that way about the interaction. Are they going to have to standardize all the data? Because there's a lot of stuff that we're gathering that hasn't been done before.
Well, we'll stream it from our user interface to theirs. So it's done on the back end, what we call the back end, and one of our engineers could do that.
How much more data are you accumulating right now for what was normally available before? I mean, I know you're getting the weights, but are you tracking other things right now?
So the weight is pretty much everything, right? But what we're also knowing is we're managing genetics, where farmers are using the system and actually checking to see, is that animal producing what it's supposed to produce? Do they pull that animal? Is it gaining? Is it not eating enough? Is it eating too much? This is why we're doing a lot of work with genetics companies, because they want, the more information they have, the better. One of the biggest things is just that. I mean, if you have an animal that eats too much and doesn't grow.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Right.
So meat is very expensive nowadays.
So that kind of information is prominent.
All right. We have another caller on the line. We have Joe calling in from Florida, and you can call in too. Just call us toll free at 877-731-6733. Joe, thanks for calling in. Fascinating discussion going on tonight. What's your question?
Well, I'm watching the show, and I'm a small cow-calf operation in Florida, and I only run about 150 head. Is this something that a small producer like me can use and actually see a financial benefit, or is this something for like a larger operation that
You want to take that?
that you're talking about out in Texas?
Yeah, you want to take it?
Yeah, and we were just talking about that a little bit ago. There is a bit of a break-even point, but because these are all custom builds, it can vary, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, Joe, to help answer your question, and thanks for the call. So every situation is different. We are beneficial to some smaller ranchers and some smaller operations. What we're always looking for is how to make your money back from your investment. So if you have less animals, less systems, of course, that's going to take you a little longer to pay that off, but it goes both hand in hand. I mean, We don't do a minimum. We do a minimum of 200 to 210. We try to stay away from anything under than that because it's not cost effective. So, but we see great results too with the bigger ranches because we can bring the cost down per animal per day.
Well, and the reason that I think you were doing that promotion that we were talking about a little bit ago, where you buy 5 and get the 6th one free, there is a reason for that, and you set that up that you can only have so many animals per piece of equipment or per unit, right?
Correct.
Explain why that is. How did you do that?
So, with our research, we found that, as we build these chutes where the animal comes in to drink, that we have to have that quality where they have enough water, and we don't want to keep the animals from water. So what we did determine is one system can cover about 35 animals. And that's, so if you have 200 and something head, we break it up to so many systems so that they all have their turn at the trough.
Just so none of them get turned away, right?
Absolutely.
If they need the feed or if they need the
right.
water.
At ABAC, we have, they have like 80 to 100 animals that come to the pen to drink water. And so we have 3 systems there. And there's never a time where the system backs up, where there's cattle backing up wanting to get a drink of water. There's always a pecking order, but everybody gets hydrated.
Too.
Right. Everybody gets hydrated. So
the
system works beautifully.
I remember
really
that from
does.
our chickens on the farm. You have to be very attentive to that. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Do you have something you wanted to add?
No,
Angela?
I just I think to help answer your question, Joe. Again, so we're not for everybody. I think it boils down to we have to check out your operation, put into effect what the infrastructure is going to be like, and we're always looking for the rancher to end up on top. We want to make a product that's affordable and give them a deal where it's something that they can actually afford and see a return.
Okay, this question is for both of you, so if you want, you can both answer it. But this is such new technology, and I'm sure a lot of people are maybe kind of taken aback by that. Is there a steep learning curve to this? How do you go about that?
No, there really isn't. There is and there isn't.
Okay.
Okay. So we have a data and analytics person, Veronica, and what she does is she works with the individual producers, shows them how to use the system. She works with them on a daily basis. And if they run into any hard issues that they don't understand on how to use the user interface, she walks them through it. Once she analyzes the system on a daily basis, where she gets all the weights and all that information is coming in, she calls them and explains to them okay, so here's your weight for today. Here's the number of animals. This animal is going backwards. This animal is progressing, 1.5 pounds a day. And so we take the time to work with each individual producer on any particular farm, especially at some of the genetics companies that we're at.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Angelo, any thought on that?
Well, I think it's important to say that Joe mentioned how we work with the farmer or rancher as the system's really easy to use. It was developed with ease of use in mind. Mm-hmm. So as far as how it functions and things to look at it's fairly simple. But working with our technicians and our analytics person, we kind of partner with our client. We want them to be successful. We want them to make money, make a profit, and we're going to help them do that. And we're not going to leave their side. We're with them all the way.
One thing I want to point out, and I believe this is basically a turnkey system, correct? You kind of custom build it. It's not like you just send the producer a dozen boxes and say good luck.
Absolutely not.
No, never.
Absolutely not.
I'm sure that would intimidate a lot of folks, but that's not the case here, right?
No, we have our own install team.
You do,
yes.
And that's included.
That's part of the deal.
Whatever your estimate is.
Yes, and it takes we put in 80 systems the other day at ST Genetics, and it took us probably 3 days.
Really?
3 days. And after the system's put in, we have to zero it in. And so that happens in Tampa, Florida. They dial into the system where there's somebody there working with them, and we get them all online pretty quickly.
But once it gets working, I mean, basically it's just a matter of
Plug and play.
running the interface.
Plug and
in,
play.
right?
Yeah. Just
Communicating
monitor
with the system.
I miss
Man-
anything?
managing your herd on the interface. That's right.
Well, we have another phone call coming in, and again, I want to encourage you to join the program here. You can call in too. There's a toll-free phone number, 877-731-6733, if you want to join the program. We have Todd calling in from South Dakota tonight. Todd, thank you for the phone call. What's your question?
Yes, it's basically threefold. Does this work on a yearling operation on grass? And approximately what is the cost per head? And then is there a residual fee that you have to pay year after year? Thank you.
All right. Who wants that?
Great question. So the first one was regarding
Yearlings.
yearlings. We don't have,
It'll work.
we don't have much practice with yearlings, even though, I mean, it's basically all the same process. But we certainly can make that happen. Regarding the other question, which was...
Price and annual subscription.
yes, thank you. Want me to do that?
Go ahead.
Okay. So there is a subscription fee. We have a 36-month contract. And we like to call our subscription, it's pretty, we kind of tailor it to the customer and their needs and their kind of their budget. So depending on how many animals you have and how many systems, for instance, we're at a 3,700 head farm, and we've got that number down to 8 cents a day per animal.
Okay.
And that shows a real quick return on investment there.
You want to add to that?
No, that's it.
All right.
The most important thing is that we work with each individual producer. And we do a site survey. We visit with them, educate them. And from that point, we go into contracting.
Well, again, those phone lines are open right now. And Todd, thank you for the question. Appreciate that. If you want to call in with your questions, we want to hear from you too. So that number, again, is toll free. It's 877-731-6733. But I want to make sure you know about that special offer that ClicR Technologies is offering RFD TV viewers at home tonight. When you buy 5 systems, the 6th one will be free, and that includes the equipment, the installation, the subscription, and the warranty with a 36-month contract. All you have to do is call or go to ClicRweight.com and use this code, CATTLE. That's pretty simple. Use the code CATTLE. But this won't last too long. It's only good until the 18th of this month. 6 systems can weigh and manage about 210 head over food and water. Stay with us for more Rural America Live when we come back. Welcome back to Rural America Live. Tonight, we're talking with ClicR Technologies about their ClicR system and how you can incorporate that system on your ranch. Plus, our phone lines are open right now. You can call us toll free. Jot that number down, 877-731-6733. We've had some terrific calls in already tonight. And don't forget, if you call in, and go to the website, if you buy 5 systems, you can get that 6th one free. There it is, right on the screen, right there. Buy 5, the 6th one's free. That includes the equipment, the installation, subscription, and the warranty with a 36-month contract. Just go to ClicRweight.com and be sure you use this code. It's CATTLE. That's the code. Man, that's hard to remember. Joey, can a rancher expect sustainability, and how or where would that apply in their operation?
Say that again.
Can a rancher expect sustainability from this system? How would that help with that?
Tremendously.
How?
Well, there are a lot of reasons. You're going to harvest the animal when they're ready to be harvested. They're going to eat less grass, right? Mm-hmm. Less food. You're going to be able to order the trucks for the right amount of animals at the right time. So it just goes on and on with sustainability. You want to add to that?
Well, I think it's like a whirlwind domino effect.
How so?
when you're moving animals sooner, or you're pulling animals that don't need to be there. I mean, you got gas, you got food, grass, like Joe was saying. There's so much that you're using less of. Mm-hmm. The sooner that animal gets to market, the less you're going to be using on all those different stages.
That's the thing that really jumped out at me when I first met you folks. There's so much less waste involved in the operation. I mean, you're really targeting the animals that really perform.
That's right.
And you're cutting out the ones that don't. And in essence, it just makes you a lot more efficient on your entire ranch operation,
Yeah, we've embraced the term early delivery. Mm-hmm. And I think that says a lot.
So go ahead, Joey.
Yes. On the user interface that Angelo explained earlier, so if you have a target weight of an animal, say you believe this animal will fill out to 1,150 pounds on this particular date, and you're 30 days away from that date, that animal, or 60 days away from that date, that animal has not even gotten close to that weight. So that tells you something. And that information is readily available on the user interface. You go ahead and harvest that animal now. He's not going to fill out to the point where you thought he was. So that's really important, really important.
And so if you have somebody out there right now and they're really intrigued by the product and they call you up and they say, I want to do it, and they want to sign up, what can they expect from ClicR Technologies?
Should I give them my phone number right now?
Sure.
So, yep, it's a simple process. We're not pushy salespeople. We'd like to come and visit you. Give us an hour or two of your time. We do a pre-survey where we'll see where you want to, where your animal's set up, where your operation is. We'll figure out, how much infrastructure's got to be developed, if any at all. Mm-hmm. And we'll put a number together to see where you need to be. The biggest thing for us is, regardless of what the price is for the units and how many you need, is we want to get that cost to a per animal per day. What does it cost per animal per day to get you where you need to be, where you can get everything paid for and start seeing a profit?
Now, one thing that strikes me is you said you want to look at the infrastructure. What are you looking for? What helps? What could help make the system maybe a little more economical if the rancher already has some things on hand?
So, with the technology the way it is, right, we're getting better at it. But as it is right now, the camera is really sensitive. So we need a specific setup for that camera. Can't have a lot of light, this and that. So if, like we found with feedlots, right? Feedlots has a great setup. We can find that they'll benefit more from it because they have their animals in a pen. They're already there. The troughs are in place. And typically some of them have the roofs in place. Mm-hmm. So that reduces the cost of infrastructure for us.
Joey, you were talking with me about that before we started the show, about how sensitive this camera is.
Well, it's
and
sensitive
it can't be exposed to a lot of light, right?
No, it'll be washed out. With any camera, it'll be washed out. Mm-hmm. It's not just our camera. Any camera will be washed out with light, right?
But I'm fascinated. You commented that you could even make this work at night. Is that right?
Yes, the system works perfectly at night.
Really?
Yes.
How?
Just does. Infrared.
Infrared?
Yes.
Well, it sounds like you're in the Army or something. My goodness. So
well, we can measure the animal pretty accurately at night as well as during the day. But night, we love darkness.
Wow, that's fascinating. Okay, so the animal basically needs to be in the shade to make the camera work
Absolutely.
Right during the day. Sir. Whether it's in a feedlot barn or maybe a small shelter out in a pasture or something like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's not exactly necessary that you have to have 110 volt power right to that stall because, like you said, you can retrofit it with a solar panel or something.
That's right.
That's fascinating. You can do the repeaters for the Wi-Fi and all that by solar too?
Yes, sir.
That's crazy. Yep. All right, you mentioned earlier about qualifying for a system like this. What did you mean by that, if someone needs to qualify for it?
So we qualify you because, again, it's not for everybody. It depends. We don't want you to spend money when it's going to take you too long to make any money. So when we come out and do our pre-survey and we sit with you and review how that plays out, and we want to see what the costs are involved to get that infrastructure to where we need it.
Now, you mentioned earlier about you kind of like to target around, what, 200 or more head
Yes, sir.
of cattle, but you can repeat this out any number of times, right? If you have a large operation, maybe a cattle feeding operation. I would imagine you've probably gotten into quite a bit of that, and you would think the economies of scale would be terrific there.
Yeah,
It would be.
It's and that's why we said, with our experience, larger feedlots have a lot to gain and more to benefit from our system.
So I would think they'd be beating your door down right now.
Well, they got to
like
find
this.
us, right? They got to know we're
Yeah.
there. Hopefully, this is going to kind of kickstart that.
So this is pretty cutting edge stuff. You could actually in the end save them a lot of money, and the shipping scheduling is what I really like about that. It can tell you ahead of time exactly how many head are going to be ready for that load, right?
Absolutely.
With a consistent weight.
And we'll have them marked for them. We'll spray them for them. Let them know these are the ones that are ready to be harvested.
We're taking the guesswork out, a lot of guesswork.
Yeah.
Yeah, and our system is going to allow ranchers to make more precision decisions, and those are going to lead to reducing cost.
Now, did I understand correctly that, and you commented on how if you get to a certain weight level, you can program the system to like spray that animal, spray a shot of color on there or something to identify
correct.
it. Can you do other things than just paint? I mean, can you
Sure.
do
When
insecticide or something with it?
we can,
Really?
we can. We have dual way of spraying. We can spray for ivermectin, spray your animal. Every 45 days, you can set the system up to do that, and you can spray for flies. There's many things that.
So it's not just necessarily triggered by the weight. It can be triggered by the time of day or the day or number of days or what have you.
Yeah, you set it on the system in your GUI. You set it the time you want, you set it the weight you want.
That's interesting stuff. So can you use it on other types of livestock or not?
So we're venturing on all kind of industries here. We've had some good practice on reptilian, the swine industry. So in the future, we've even been considering now start working on a human solution.
Really?
Yes, sir.
I'm afraid to even ask about that. Reptilian, really? Is there a demand for that?
Quite a demand. Quite a demand.
How so?
Well, alligator hides are worth a lot of money.
Oh my goodness! And your camera could identify that.
Well, we do. They crawl on a table, and we measure them, and we can tell you how long they are, how much they weigh, and what is called the fifth scoot, which is a money scoot, and that determines a good time to harvest them.
So, as you look at the future of the cattle industry, how do you think ClicR Technologies will fit into this for the long term here?
Oh, it's going to be tremendous. You know, you either embrace technology or you're left behind. And our goal is to move the ag industry into the 21st century. And it's a day at a time, it's a step at a time. But we can make you more profitable. We can make you a lot more profitable. You just got to give it a shot. You got to understand what we can do for you and accept it and work with it. Technology has its issues. All technology has their issues. But at the end of the day, it's going to make you better. And it's going to make you more money, and we can do that. There's no doubt in my mind.
Well, this is some serious technology you're working with, and it's so unique, it's so cutting edge. You've actually been awarded not one patent, but several, right?
We have about 8 or 9 patents.
Really?
Yes.
Specifically on this system, or just in other things you're working on right now?
Other things we're working on.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Do I dare to ask what kind of stuff you're working on or not?
A lot of stuff into the future. A lot
Really?
of stuff into the future. We're going to be able to do the BCS, frame score, things like that. We're working with dairy. We can do dairy. So,
Well, that makes sense.
yes.
Absolutely. Well, I think there's all kinds of room for improvement. In fact, you think longer term, and there's so much data that it could be absorbed and pumped up into the cloud. Everything is data driven nowadays.
Yes, it is.
You have all sorts of reports that are based on, knowing how many animals are out there or what they weigh or what kind of crops are grown. And
that's
gonna
important what
drive
you
the
just
industry.
said, how many animals are out there. We count your cattle every day. If you put 200 in a circle, at the end of the day, 200 will have come to get a drink of water.
Right.
Well, if only 195 come, 5 are missing. They're either sick, dead, or they walked off your pasture, right?
And you'll know exactly which ones.
I know exactly which ones, yes. And they can't do that today. They
my
can't do
gosh.
that today, but we can do that for them. That's just one of the benefits of the system. Just one.
And it's all in
Along with the
real
weight.
time.
Yes.
All right. Angelo, if you would, tell me about this promotion you're doing right now and how you arrived at that. This is actually kind of your brainchild, right?
Yeah,
Where
I think so.
You buy 5 systems. What is it that the producer will be getting if they order 5 systems and they get another one free? How does that work? Explain that.
So based on the amount of animals you had, as you mentioned, each system can cover about 35 animals. So a minimum is typically about 5 systems. So if you want to do 5 systems, we'll give you every 6th one. So do the math. If you need 50 systems, every 6th one is free. That's a lot of product right there.
So what's all involved in getting one set up? You said you will send a crew out. What's involved?
Well, we
What
ask them to
steps do they
take a
have to
picture
take?
first, take some pictures of where they want to place the system,
Okay.
and we talk to them about the infrastructure that may be needed. They agree to that. We send them a contract, and then we go out and do a site visit.
And what's the wait time, do you think, before you can send a crew out?
Oh, within a week.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's not too bad.
No.
All right. So things really vary based on everybody, every individual rancher or feedlot's needs. Up to this point, you have probably got quite a few units out there. Can you give me an idea how many or what geographic area you have serviced already?
From Texas all the way to Georgia.
Okay.
And so we have probably a couple of hundred.
So what's on your website, Angelo?
Website you can go on there and you can find out about the different industries we cover.
Okay.
We are focused on cattle right now. You'll find where you can get on there to our contact page, and we'll take that code for you. And you want to fill in the information, and we'll get back to you. And then see a lot of things what our mission is, and our statement, and our values, and our team players.
Well, I'm glad you guys had a chance to stop by. I really learned a lot from talking with you already, and I wish you the best of luck on your future endeavors.
Thank you.
Sounds like you got the world by the tail, and very inventive, very ingenious stuff. Congratulations on a
Thank you.
terrific product here.
Appreciate it.
Welcome you back anytime if you want to come back. We'll talk more about this.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Well, good to have you on board. We've been talking, of course, with Angelo and also with Joey. Joey is the CEO of the company with ClicRtechnologies, and ClicRweight is the product, right?
Correct.
Excellent. Well, we encourage you to check it out. Well, thank you so much for joining us on Rural America Live. Good night from Rural America's most important network.